Welcome back to the Bending Report. As U.S. forces move forward with their current operations of advising and assisting security forces overseas, the 162nd Infantry Brigade out of Fort Polk stays busy training our troops for this new mission. Recently, the 4th Battalion of the 353rd came to Kelley Hill to train the 3rd Brigade Transition Teams before they deployed. Our Ron Andruss joins us now with the details.
That's right, Susanna. Now that Iraqi security forces are in the lead protecting their own country, American soldiers have been busy learning how to work with and help them succeed.
Colonel Habib gave you a little bit of information, but this happened very suddenly.
The real role of the combat advisor is, in a sense, it's to help them understand how they can provide for their own security.
The 162nd Infantry Brigade is on a mission to train military transition teams how to become modern-day combat advisors.
It's kind of like leading from the rear as an advisor. We always, as Americans, want to be in charge and lead from the front. An advisor, sometimes you lead from the rear, the side, somewhere other than the front.
Combat advisors must learn everything they can about their counterparts' culture, customs, language, and religions in order to have a solid foundation to work from.
We're having to learn the little nuances of the culture. You also learn, the nuances of the different religions that impact Iraq and the Arab Peninsula in general. And as we go through that, those are some of probably the biggest challenges we have. Just the little things, so you don't embarrass anyone or you don't offend anyone.
How you deal with the people, how you respect the culture, learn some of the language for credibility and more effective communication, all makes a difference.
The next phase of training requires several days of hands-on experience communicating with Iraqi role players and putting their skills to the test.
One of our most effective training techniques is what we call leader engagement, where we will give the advisors a scenario to read, provides a brief background of the situation that they're going to be training in, and with an interpreter work through this situation we've put the advisor in.
Combat advisors have to work through language differences and enlist the help of an interpreter, which can present another set of challenges.
Then you also have the language barrier. So, we have been going through language classes, and so we use the best Arabic that we've learned so far to at least try to build that rapport. And then as you go through, then you learn to use your interpreter. And then that adds another flavor and another layer to the challenge of having someone talking in your ear while you're talking, and then listening to someone else in your ear while the Iraqi counterpart is talking. So yeah, it's a huge challenge.
It can be very awkward, and it can also have unintended consequences. Not only how you work through the interpreter, but understanding what the interpreter does for you. Your tone, the way you structure your sentences, all has a meaning in another language. And working with an interpreter, sometimes you want a word-for-word translation, other times you want to convey an intent, a tone in your message. And so how you use that interpreter is very important to getting the message across accurately.
To be effective, these officers will have to step outside of their own comfort zone and work within an Iraqi state of mind.
In an Army culture, we're all very aggressive type A personalities. This is a change in what we normally would do with our own soldiers. So this training helps them understand the change in the dynamic of that part of our operating environment in Iraq.
In order to establish good working relationships, combat advisors must win the hearts and minds of their counterparts by building rapport and earning respect.
If we try to impose our beliefs and our values on a particular culture, could be as negative as engaging in combat. How we train the advisors is directly related to how successful we will be in that region.
The Army is giving the new mission the highest level of attention and strategic significance for our armed forces and understands that it's critical for stability and security across the globe.